I'm making a video before the sun goes out. Hold on. Okay. Sorry, I just got a message. I'll deal with that later. Today's drink is I believe it's like a peach tea. The reason it's this color is because I put pistachio milk in everything, and this really didn't need pistachio milk, but it's still good. And I've been having some stomach issues, and I don't have that thing that a lot of other countries provide their citizens for free, but in the United States you have to pay an absurd amount of money to have that thing. I don't have that. So tea specifically for stomach issues. So okay, today I wanted to talk about dang, what was it? Oh yes, being the daughter of an immigrant or the child of an immigrant. That's this video. And I'm not really sure what like advice I have, but I just want to talk about it. I don't know. I want to talk about it. Let's talk about it. It really, really depends on the culture, but I do find a lot of similarities between just kids of immigrants who like either moved here when they were young or were born here and they were first generation or whatever the heck. In my case, I was born here. I was born in the US. And I find a lot of similarities between all groups of immigrant kids. Like they've all gone through such shared experiences. It's so fascinating. And I kind of just want to talk about it because it affected the way I moved around the world, the way I felt about living here. It affected the choices I feel like I had. And of course, every case is unique and different. But some of the similarities that I keep seeing are like this need to please your parents because they did this crazy absurd thing for you, which was to have you here or birth you here or bring you here, make that journey to assimilate to a completely different culture, to some of them haven't assimilated all that much, but it's fine, to, which is super scary, move to a country they've never been to, for a better life. And oh my god, it looks like I look like Nezuko with my hair being like light brown at the bottom. Okay, sorry. I just wanted to talk about it because I want to make sure that everyone knows the options that they have. Because I saw a video of a girl who was 24, I think, at the time. I think I saw the video like a year ago. And she was talking about how she's gotten into a relationship and she's moving. And she, at 24 years old, is so terrified of telling her parents about this because she feels like they could convince her to not do it, or that she's kind of dishonoring them in a way. So she's decided to kind of put everything in place and then tell her parents, like, I'm leaving, I'm doing this, kind of like quickly, like the day before she actually leaves, so that there's no time for them to change her mind. And I've never related to something more in my life. And I think she was Asian, like she was a completely different culture than me. But I've never related to something more in my life. It really, really hit because I did the same thing. No, I wasn't in a relationship, but I got a job working somewhere far. Well, this actually happened twice, and I just want to talk about like the differences here. I'm on nasally, I don't know why. The first time it happened, I got a job in a different country to teach English and had just graduated from university. And my parents were really proud of me. I was like, great, they're proud of me. I just did the thing that they've been wanting me to do. At this point in time, me and my dad had kind of like an odd relationship. We were a little cold with each other, and I think it's because I was reeling from all the realizations I had about my childhood being a little bit more difficult than it needed to be. Anyway, but I was like excited to share this news. I was like, this was my dream, and they knew it, and well, they knew some of it. It was my dream to travel. It was my dream to teach English somewhere else. And when I told my mom like almost instantly, because my mom, and I really feel for all y'all immigrant daughters or sons out there who have a difficult relationship with your mom because your mom is like either really high pressure or really critical or hypocritical, or they're just very naggy, or they're just constantly it feels like they're constantly trying to bring you down or put you in a box. I am so fortunate. I did not get that mother. I got the most beautiful, selfless, like I made a video about my mom on here before. She's not real. Like the one who, like, she's not real. She's an angel. And I brought it to her because I can talk to my mom about like anything. She's just like the sweetest, and she's such a good listener. She's always been that for everyone, for every person she meets. She's such a good listener. However, I do tend to keep things from my mother because she tends to tell my dad, because they're biblically. On top of that, having religious immigrant parents is a whole nother topic, but that's a topic I'm specifically touching on because that's how I experienced it. So my mom typically tells my dad a lot of the things that are going on with me, and I just have to physically ask her, like, please don't say this. And so she's like, you should tell him. And I was like, okay. I worked up the nerve and I told him, I was like, hey, Papi, I'm going through this and I got accepted and I'm gonna be leaving next year in like 6-7 months. It was awful. He was so the opposite of on board, and he's the type of parent who is filled with fear. And I think it's because of the way that he lived and how similar we are and some of the things that he's experienced in the world. He shut it down like immediately. And I was 22 at the time, I believe. I was 22. Like just graduated college. I was like, I stayed at home for my parents' approval. Like I didn't move. I didn't go to college physically. I went online. Which I'm happy about the decision now because I saved money, but it was just such a big deal. It really messed me up, and I didn't realize how much I cared for specifically my dad's approval. Then in that moment, I thought I had let that all go. Remember I told you we were having that little odd relationship, cold shoulder thing? It was in that year or so that I was like, oh, I don't really care about his approval anymore. I'm gonna live for me. So when I said this and he got upset and started shouting and started telling me how many dangers there are in the world, as if I didn't know, as a woman living in the world, and how I don't know anything about that country or the culture. And truthfully, I'd researched a ton, but it's not just about research, obviously. But I was like, I'm in a program and I am going through a program. It's a job. It is not like willy-nilly. There was so much good in my head about this decision, but he only saw bad. He thought I think maybe to him it felt like running away. It felt like I was giving myself up to something or opened myself up to something really dangerous. And I understand that coming from a parent. And my mom is probably one of the most skittish people I know. Like she doesn't like to drive in the rain. She doesn't like to leave the house. Like she's worried about everything. How is it that she was able to pull out, because they're different people, how is she able to pull out support for me, even though it was like hard for her? I know it's hard for her. She worries about me a ton. How was she able to do that? But for my dad, it was just like countering. It was like this. And it's because they're different. And it really messed me up to the point where I rejected the offer, because I had gotten the offer to work at a school. I rejected the offer because I don't know why it affected me so bad that I had to like step away, and I gave it up, and I got a really good job in the US. So I think everything happens for a reason. And I obviously TikTok blew up for me in that time. But it's something I really wanted to do. And he was really struggling with it. And it made me confused because as immigrant children, we understand our parents did something huge, which was move from one place to another. And it was very scary. And it was not a lot of us have experienced that. And as having gone through that experience, I wondered two things. One, if he was able to do it, especially at a young age, he did it much younger than I. Why was I not given that same privilege to do it? Like, and maybe because one, it doesn't make sense to him. Like I moved here to get away from everything in my country or to make a better life for you. And now you want to move somewhere else? Yes, is my answer. Like, yeah, like you made a choice to do something for your life that you thought was going to be best, and that's amazing. I want to do the same, but when I do it, oh my God, that's the problem. And on top of that, I'm a girl, so it's like I understand the struggle, I understand the worry. I can't even go this far back, but to like have children and expect them to do everything you want, live life exactly how you want them to, is actually absurd. It's just like you made a human with who's gonna have different experiences than you, different opinions than you. Is gonna be a different gender than you, more like at least from one of the parents is gonna be a different gender. It's gonna have a different life than you. It's gonna have different wants, desires, interests. So to think that your child isn't going to want to do something, you should expect your child to like, I think you should go into parenthood being like, even if this child decides that it wants to rob banks for a living, I need to come to terms with the fact that this child's going to be different and have a different life than me. You know what I mean? Like that has to be the reality. Like obviously go in high hopes, whatever, but being open to the fact that your child's going to be different than you, and your child's going to walk away and it's going to, this isn't the video for the immigrant parents. I don't know why I'm thinking about this, but it's important to remember this as a child yourself, as an immigrant child yourself, that you are different from your parents. Like in a lot of ways you can be similar and you want to be grateful. And in my head, I was like, I'm going to go earn money and I'm going to spoil my parents silly. They deserve it. And obviously that didn't happen. I said no. I rejected the offer. And my sister, my mom really felt for me. And I think my dad was relieved. And that bothered me more than anything. Why am I so nasally? That bothered me more than anything. And I think that Cold War that I was talking about continued. I just didn't, whenever he entered a room, I walked away. Whenever he was around, I just pretended like I needed something to do elsewhere. Because I lived at home till I was 24. And I moved. And throughout that time, from like 22 to 24, I built up a following on TikTok. I got some savings in, worked at different schools. Eventually, I went to travel. And I didn't ask, I told. And that's very difficult for a child of an immigrant whose father shut you down so bad that you ended up not taking a huge opportunity. And again, everything happens for a reason. But this time I was like, no, I paid for this. I'm leaving in a week and I'll be back. And I did. I left. I came back within 2 weeks, something like that. But I had put in place that I wanted to move. And my cousin had an open room in her house. And I decided to move in with her. The conversation, I didn't even have a conversation with my dad. I didn't tell him. I packed my things. And it sucks. Like, I think parents especially need to realize, like, when you come at your child with only criticism, they don't come to you. They don't come to you. And you can be as constructive as you want, but the world's going to be constructive. And there needs to be some love and some support in it because, again, your child's not going to want to come to you. And you have to ask your child, like, especially if they're an adult. When they're a kid, you tell them. You tell them what the world is like. You tell them what's going on. You tell them. But when they're an adult, things need to shift. And you need to ask them if they want your advice. And you need to prepare to listen because you've made a kid who has opinions, like I said, who has things to say, things to do. And my dad sat me down. Like I had my bags packed. I had everything packed. And he was like, why are you leaving? Your mom just told me you're going. What's going on? And I was like, yeah, I'm going. He's like, you didn't even tell me. You didn't talk to me. That's not how I raised you. And I was like, oof. It doesn't make sense. It really doesn't, because as the child of an immigrant, you are rarely told. You're rarely included in the conversation of we're moving or we're doing this life plan, or dad's getting a new job, or mom's doing this now. You're not included in the conversation as an immigrant child. I think that could be true for a lot of parents. They don't include the kids in the conversation of we're moving, we're doing this. Things are just decided and you have to go along with it. It's kind of like all the times I asked my dad, where are we going? And he'd be like, you'll find out when we get there. and he'd be taking us around different cities because my dad was an evangelist, and he would take us to different people's houses, strangers' houses, and we'd sit there for hours while he preached or evangelized or whatever the heck. And do I necessarily think it was bad? No. But I wasn't included in the conversation. Nobody asked, hey, Joe, do you have, like, I know you're 8, but we're going to be doing this tonight. Just wanted you to know. Okay. I was not taught to include anyone in a conversation about decisions. Ever. So, for him to think that I would include him in my decision making didn't make sense. It, like, really didn't. So, well, I guess you could think that your child would do that, but you never taught them that. So to think that they would do that because you taught them that, even though you didn't, is crazy. So I gave my reasons, and I was like, I don't want to fight for this. I don't want to give you a whole pro-con list and have you just debate every single point, because I've already made my choice. I'm going. He was not happy about that. But I think what needed to happen was me stepping out those front doors, because the relationship between us improved greatly. And it was never bad, like screaming at each other bad. It was never bad. I was just offensive, and I would not take it. And my dad taught me a lot of things, hard work. He taught me leadership, taught me a lot of things. So for me to walk out and decide that I want to do something different is, I'm proud of myself for doing that, even at my adult age. So I left, and within a few months, I had a job in Miami, and I moved there, and I told him. And me telling him I was moving out of the city to go to a bigger city, that's like, oh my God, I was scared. I couldn't even focus on my journey or focus on my time being there. I could only focus on how he was going to feel about it and how he was going to react to it, because I needed to let him know. So I gave him 3 days. I said, I need to talk to you and Mom. And I sat them down, and I invited my sister and her husband to come in case the things got crazy again. Because remember that first time when I spoke about me wanting to move somewhere, they freaked out, or he freaked out. And I sat them down. I said, I got a job, and I'm moving to a school to work, and it's in Miami. And the way that he and my mother reacted was so great. It was so great. They clapped and they said, yay, we're so happy for you. And I don't know if my mom sat there and trained him before I came over, because I didn't tell them what I wanted to talk about at all. So I don't know if my mom sat there and trained him, or he by his own will decided to be supportive. I'm just really grateful for that, because it's what I needed. I was gonna do it regardless, but I would have done it with like a heavy heart, because I couldn't let another opportunity pass like the first time. And you can't let opportunities pass. I enjoyed the time I had living with my parents for so long, till 24, 25. I got to spend time with them, spend time with my cousins, take them out, pick them up from school. I got really close to my foster siblings, and, helped them out as well. And same thing with my sister. We got really close. So I'm really proud of those years, like those early 20 years where I got to spend just giving back to my family and living in my small town and just spending time with them. I will never regret that. At first I did. I thought I was wasting my youth or my time. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm literally just like sitting here and not traveling the world like I wanted, and like not doing what I wanted. And I'm very grateful for those years. I'm very grateful. And I get a good feeling every time I go back to my hometown. And I'm so grateful to my parents for changing their tune. My dad specifically. My mom's always been. But my dad for changing his tune and just being supportive and deciding that what's best is probably not to be negative. And that's one of the things I did mention when we had our little talk, that he often comes with negativity, and that discourages a person from wanting to share. If that's the route you choose to take every time. I'm not saying, hey dad, I want to go join a biker gang. I don't expect you to be happy and glamorously supporting me. I expect you to have questions, and I expect you to like point out the flaws. But if I'm coming from a place of like sanity and logic, and I found this opportunity and it's a good opportunity, and I want you to want the best for me, then I think we need to change how we react to things. And that's exactly what he did. And I don't know, the growth I've seen in him from me leaving and just doing things differently is just amazing. And now I love spending time with him, and I love getting to know him in this kind of like new mindset, which I've always told him. My dad can be a little bit closed-minded, I've always told him it doesn't matter if you're 60 years old, you can still learn and you can still change. And he laughed. And I still believe that, like, you can still discover new things and change your mindset no matter how old you are. And I've seen that firsthand. So for all the immigrant kids who are afraid to tell their parents about their plans, I understand you. I understand you 100%. And having an adult to confide in is super important, especially if you are an adult. Like, you want another like person who's lived more years to like listen to you. That person was my mom and my sister. But I don't know what's going on. I'm like dying. But I really wanted to talk about this because I want the kids who are saying no to opportunities because of their parents to just do it. Just do it. Do it. Like, I don't know if you believe in signs or anything. I'm not really big on that either, but if it's right and it's what you've wanted and it's your dream, do it. Just do it. Like, next year I plan to travel like the entirety of next year. Like, I plan to not be in the US like like at all, like very little. And I know that's going to be scary for my dad, but I need to tell him soon. I mean, I live on my own. But there's a lizard. Oh, he's doing his little like mate dance, I think. He's doing something. Okay, I get it. All right, sorry. But yeah, if you're the child of immigrant parents and you're afraid to talk to them, I'd say do what I did. Have a team with you. Like, bring your siblings into it and have them all stand by you in support so that you're reminded that you have people, even if your parents aren't about it. But you need to just do it. You need to just do it. You need to just walk out and go, because otherwise you're trapped. And sometimes we feel like we need to lie and we need to come up with things. Luckily for me, I never ended up having to lie to get to the things that I wanted to do, because I'm generally not a fan of lying. I feel like the truth comes out anyway, and I just don't like it. I feel like you lose so much trust. Like, one thing you can count on me for is that if I'm talking to you and I'm telling you something, it's because it's legit. I don't want to ever have my trust doubted because I lied once. Oh, but you lied about that thing. Oh, but you lied about this. Even if it was a little lie, like, no, what comes out of my mouth is true. I'm going here because I am actually going there. But that doesn't mean you have to say everything. It just means you don't have to lie. But anyway, a lot of immigrant kids feel like they have to lie and they have to just justify everything. And you feel like you have to over-explain and you feel like you have to people please. And I understand that. I make videos about it. But just do it. Just do it. And I feel like some parents will threaten, like, to close the door to not have that. I say if they threaten that, you keep your door open. And you remind it and you tell them in their face, like, all right, if you close the door on me, mine's always open. So could be a couple weeks, couple months, couple years. I have my door open for you. So if you see me living my life, doing this, that, and the third, and I'm not saying this so you can just like have a bad relationship with your parents. It's something that needs to be done. So if it goes like mine did, like, they become supportive, that's amazing. But if they freak out on you and decide to stop having a relationship with you, You need to keep that door open. Do not sink to their level. Keep the door open. Be like, you can do that, but I'm going to go live my life and you can talk to me when you're ready. That's all the advice I have. I don't know. Hopefully it's good. It's actually really good. But that's everything. Let me know if there's any other topics you want me to talk about, because I can talk about things for hours. I'm trying to become a yapper. I feel like I'm not really a yapper, or I can be a yapper in the right circumstances. And YouTube, it has to be the right circumstances for me, because I don't have that many like other outlets to talk like this. Like my TikTok videos, I don't really talk on them anymore. Instagram either. I only have one friend that I'm a yapper with. Only one. Everyone else, I'm a listener. I'm a taker-inner. So, okay. That's everything. Bye. I hope everything works out.